Secure provides a secure instant messaging as well as email and soon to be some other secure features as well. And with me, CEO Alain Ghiai, to talk about all of this and just in general, the huge number of attacks and attempted attacks that we saw in 2021. I mean, the numbers are just astounding. So let's start. What do you know about that?
Well, thank you, Jane. Hello to our viewer out there. So in 2021, there was a 50% increase year on year on cyber attacks in general globally. And that's quite an astronomical jump. You know, when you think about 3 years, let's say, and if you get at that rate on a yearly basis, it's exponential. So cyber attacks are here to stay. Cybersecurity is a business that's going to keep growing. And certainly, you know, this is not something that has peaked and is going to just disappear. There was also in that same article, they mentioned that the Log4j issue, which happy to say our infrastructure, by the way, and our servers do not use the same kind of infrastructure that's affected by Log4j, which is a huge thing. They call them Apache servers. Vast majority of companies use those. We don't, so we have not been affected by that. Thankfully, but they say that every week per organization, there has been 945 cyber attacks. Now that's per organization on a weekly basis. That's just huge. And, you know, most companies, they outsource their hosting, right, to other smaller hosting company, which use the big platforms. And that's why you hear a lot about some of these big cloud companies that we all know that has been affected because they provide to millions of IT companies and businesses this kind of, you know, hosting and whatnot. So it's a cumulative effect. It's like a tear down thing, and then it goes down to the individual small business who is going to be affected, because if you had a shutdown, there's a 50% chance that your business will go bankrupt within 12 months.
Yeah, well, and I noticed on the article that education and research was really by far the most attacked organization. And then right below that was government and military. So that tells you what these hackers are after.
Yeah, they're after research. You know, at this point, because of the COVID-19 and the health crisis that the globe suffered the last 2, 3, we're on our 3rd year now, all the research that's been done that governments funded, I think the US, I can just pull a couple number that I know, at least $20–30 billion that were spent and given to companies to develop these, you know, vaccine, drugs, whatever, and even other research. You have all sorts of research happening, not just for COVID, you know, you got cancer, you got other things. So that research, which is funded by the American people and the taxpayers essentially, and the is being siphoned out to other countries. We're talking about hundreds of billions of dollars of research. And the research that is done in the US, it's part of the advantage, the economic advantage, the global dominance of a country is its knowledge and its advanced technologies in many cases. And if some people can just go and grab it and steal it, that's not a good sign, right? So there needs to be a lot more efforts taken to protect that.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it says that, I think it says that these are state-sponsored attacks. Yeah, like if it was, you know, somebody just wanted credit card information, they'd be going after the retailers. But this sounds like a state-sponsored attack where they want the research and use that to some kind of competitive advantage.
That's so true. It's state-sponsored because they can also resell that information. It's all about, at the end of the day, it's all about the dollar when you think about it. And that's why that sort of attack is above now military and government, because there's not a whole lot left in there. But when you do medical research and education, that's the value of, it's an intellectual property. You can resell that, right? So I'm not surprised that it mentions state-sponsored because, like you say, the one that wants the credit card info, okay, they go to the retail industry. And that's something that needs to be taken more seriously now that it has moved to a top level of the targets, right? So that's critical. And, you know, telecom companies need to be more careful. The governments need to take more precaution. There should be funding for better education to businesses as well, right? So because you can have everything, but then you have to implement it, and the money for implementation when it comes to cooperation is lacking, and the effort is lacking. So that's It boils down to eventually us implementing those procedures.
And more cybersecurity students at universities, because the jobs are out there and they need to be on the cutting edge of all that. Now we're in an election year in the U.S., not presidential election, but an election for Congress and several other governors and things. And I know there's some world elections going on there, and that is also an area that is ripe for cyber attacks as well, right?
Yes. So when it comes to election, US, Europe, France has a new presidential election in April. The US will start the Senate election, I believe, in 2022. And usually from 22 to 24, you're what we call on election mode, because there's this, there's that, then there's presidential. So it's going to be a nonstop target. And what happens, a lot of email spamming is happening, right? So you get spammed with a bunch of information. You have social media that's manipulated. As a matter of fact, email spamming is going to increase even more than it is today. And we have precautions against that as well.
And Secure is taking some action against scammers? In what way?
Yes, so we discovered recently that because we offer a free trial for a week, we have people that try different accounts. Obviously, you can create a Gmail account every minute if you want. But thank God, because you need to put a credit card. This is the difference between us and a free service. Once you have to put a credit card, and it's just the same card, you kind of can block. But basically, we have people trying to use our service for spamming. So we have a new procedure now that we're implementing in the next 2 weeks, because there's some code working to be done. Essentially, if you're on a trial period, which means a free part, the 7-day trial, you can only send an email to 2 people at a time, as opposed to unlimited. And then we reduced it to 20 people. But what happened is that the spammer has an automatic dialer, so to speak, in an email platform that sends to thousands of people. So now it's going to be 2 people maximum, and you can send an email only once every 5 minutes. So it won't let you do that auto dialer. We were thinking even every 10 minutes, but some free trial people might be a little bit upset about that, because this happens in, let's say, 1 in 1,000 users, but as the product becomes more known and successful and popular, we could see this increase. So we're going to implement that when you sign up to Secure or Secure Email, and to create your Secure Email account, it'll be clearly mentioned that because it's a free trial, the anti-spamming feature means that you cannot send an email to more than 2 people at the same time. So meaning 2, let's say you and somebody else, and you can only send an email every 5 minutes. If you want to do more than that, you sign up for the paid version. And of course, we have terms of service that if you break that, we shut down your account and there's no refund. So this will eliminate, I would say, at least by 50 to 70%, the chance of a spammer trying to use our service, which is highly private and confidential. I could see how somebody would want to do that, but we're reducing, and we're basically putting roadblocks galore in front of those people.
What a pain these scammers are. So, but it is, I guess, a sign that you are becoming more well-known and having more sales. So can you...
We're becoming more well-known, having more sales, and we're doing something about the spam, because the other services are not doing that, just so you know. Those free services could care less. You can create an account every minute, and it's free. So that's the other thing. Yeah, we're doing what we can to protect the legitimate users, obviously, of email.
And how are sales going?
Sales are on track, actually ahead. So we have internal projections that we do, very highly conservative projections. This is a ratio between the cash that we have, the sales that we have, when we can reach profitability without extra funding, etc. And we're ahead of our targets so far. So we're doing quite well. And after March, we're going to start to increase the marketing aspect, because after March is when we have that famous secure mail application where, and also another thing that we realize, our churn rate, means cancellation rate, has dropped down by 50%. So it's in the single digit, and we have a churn rate of barely 5%, which we're very happy about, which means people that are signing up, there's only 5% of them that would basically cancel for one reason or another. And we believe with a couple new things that we're doing, that churn rate will even go lower. So One of the things is to chat by invite using SMS, uploading your address book and your contact on Secure, and also the email app. Those three elements that we're implementing between now and the end of March will reduce the churn rate probably down to 3%, which is a very good churn rate level. Right now it went from like 10% to 5%. So we're doing quite well. We're very happy. We're just moving along, chugging along per our internal forecast. So, you know, couldn't be happier.
Okay, well, thanks so much, Alain, again, for bringing us up to date on the business and just talking about cybersecurity in general, because it's such a big issue.
It is. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you.